Stalactites and stalagmites are astounding mineral formations found in giant caverns beneath the earth. Evolutionists say these structures required millions of years to form, but any person with 2 eyes can see that stalactites and stalagmites have already formed under highway overpasses and even the Lincoln Memorial. Even in the caves themselves, bats have been found encased in stalagmites, indicating that they were buried before decomposition, and indicating that thousands of years couldn't have been required. How do evolutionists explain this? That's simple, by ignoring it, but not me. I had to investigate. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. was built in 1923 on marshland in the area surrounding the Potomac River. The area is notoriously wet, and the throne on which Abraham Lincoln is depicted sitting is actually hollow beneath. Venturing under the 16th U.S. president, we find graffiti from the workers who built the memorial, including cartoons of the early comic strip Mutt and Jeff. What sticks out, however, are the stalactites. In less than a century, long stalactites have developed. These structures are comprised completely of the concrete used to build the memorial, which is extremely water-soluble. When water is added to concrete, there are a few chemical reactions which occur, one of which is to produce calcium hydroxide, which then drips down. In the process of this dripping, the calcium hydroxide absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, causing another chemical reaction, in this case reconstituting calcium carbonate and forming long, stringy stalactites. This process differs dramatically from the process occurring in caverns and caves. The naturally occurring stalactites, called speleothem, are comprised of limestone, a material which is virtually insoluble in water. Instead, the process occurs by the dripping of minute amounts of carbonic acid dripping down and chemically breaking down the limestone in the cave ceiling and leaving behind small bits of limestone as it evaporates or drips down. Over time, this process leaves behind an increasingly longer speleothem. This is footage I filmed in the Oregon cave system with an early 90s video camera 2 decades ago. You can see that over the course of a century, a layer of limestone the thickness of a fingernail has deposited over cave graffiti from the 19th century. Imagine then how many centuries would be required for something like the Grand Column to form in the same cave. More dramatically, the carbonic acid which created the stalactites and stalagmites also carved out these caves to begin with. This carbonic acid is caused by rainwater soaking into the ground and pulling carbon dioxide from the roots of plants, which undergoes another chemical reaction, causing it to bond with hydroxide ions in the water, which becomes carbonic acid. When carbonic acid reaches a limestone boulder, it begins breaking down the limestone. This process of cave carving continues until the cave itself breaches the outside, exposing the cave system to air, which stops the process of cave carving and allows for the evaporation of water, forming stalactites and stalagmites. This process is several hundred times slower than the process forming stalactites in the Lincoln Memorial and highway overpasses. The cave that remains is very low in oxygen, highly acidic, and being underground remains fairly cool. These are the very same conditions that exist in peat bogs and are what preserved bog bodies, which are as old as 10,000 years. Because of this, bats in caves are also found mummified in nearly the same manner. The environment in caves has been shown to be conducive to preservation, so it is no surprise to see a well-preserved bat. The most unlikely feature of this particular case is not that the bat was preserved, but how unlikely that it would have died and remained atop a stalagmite. Over the course of this episode, there is one statement that should be crawling around in your head. Even though we can reasonably prove that stalagmites and stalactites take hundreds of thousands of years to form in limestone caves, which in turn took millions of years to form, this entire argument has nothing to do with the age of the Earth. Even if the caves and their structures were formed over the course of 5 minutes, the age of the Earth is completely unaffected. I probably could have stated this from the beginning and made a much shorter episode, but instead, I hope you enjoyed another example of how creationism taught me real science. If there's a creationist argument you think I should investigate, please comment below. It may become the basis for a future episode. In the meantime, subscribe and make sure you don't miss it.